Okay, thanks. Welcome to another AMA at Playable Games. So I'm the old bull. We've got young bull and questionable, who are my two sons. If you didn't know, um, young bull is we call him game architect, but he actually does a whole bunch of stuff from paying people right through to helping with the game design and working out like he actually tests games and that sort of stuff. And obviously helps me every day with the business. And questionable is in charge of community. So he is actually running the whole back end of the community, making sure that you guys get your questions answered and we have a clear path of communication back to you. Now, with you today, we have Silas, who's the creative director of REVN, the new game we've purchased, and Allister, who is gameplay designer or one of gameplay designers. So, welcome, guys, to the AMA.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Pleasure,
Hello.
pleasure. All right. Well, let's start at the very beginning. Tell us a bit about your team and who you've got over there, and let's start with how long this has been going because it's obviously. I think you were in the original team, weren't you, Silas? The first couple of guys that started it.
Yeah, so we've been working on this for about 4.5 years now, and we've since the original team of 3 people, we've expanded now to about 7 people on the team right now. Got a couple of programmers, 3 artists, Alistair, who's our gameplay designer, and I'm forgetting somebody, of course.
It's
That would
always hard.
probably be our software architect. So he's kind of a programmer, but he's more focused on like back end things like servers and security and that kind of thing.
Okay. Just so everyone knows too, since we're beaming this across from United States, we've got bandwidth issues, and so it was easy just to turn off cameras for Silas and Allister. So that makes sure we get a nice clear audio that everyone can hear. Um, how did it all start? Where did this come from?
So REVN was a evolution of the MOBA genre, as we like to call it. It started as a team-based third-person shooter with a lot of player customization things, being able to build your own character, choose any ability, choose any weapon. And we started with a lot of mechanics before we really settled on what the actual game mode, what the objective of the game would be. We knew what the mechanics should be, the general themes of the game, what was important to us, and from there we built a prototype and then just started playtesting it with an internal team and then friends and people that we would invite and refer to that very early playtesting community. And so we tried a bunch of different things. We tried like capture the flag, we tried team deathmatch, zone capture modes, all that stuff. And we eventually struck a nerve when we tried a lane based MOBA esque game mode where you had multiple lanes, you had minions that were pushing the lanes, attacking objectives in those lanes, and we really said, yeah, this is it. This is the game
Okay.
mode that's fun that really brings everything together. And that was like a year or two into development, and then at that point we've basically been full steam ahead with fleshing out all the mechanics and getting the art and the audio of the game up to the same level.
Cool.
So the first couple of questions that I've seen are more just generic, like, for example, do you have plans for controller support for Evan?
We do have controller support. We have partial controller support right now, and we've got plans for full controller support either at launch or shortly afterwards.
And a similar question to that was, will you be able to alter the third person view? Are there any, like, will you be able to do proper, like, full first person, or will you be able to zoom in, or do you just want to keep it as a static third person view?
Well,
Alistair, yeah.
currently, the way the game plays, you can switch between a third and first person perspective via aiming down sights. Um, and that's something that we're planning to keep in the game. But overall, while you're moving throughout the map and you're running through the game and doing things, you're going to be in a third person locked perspective.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot to ensure that that's going to work in a serviceable way. And so that includes like being able to change your over the shoulder perspective when you're looking around corners so that you can corner peek equally as well as anyone else on the map. And just generally make sure that the game is designed in such a way where third person is the static.
Yeah. Well, I know Daniel really liked the fact you could come from third person into first person for sniping and stuff. He said that was really good.
Yeah,
So-
that stuff has felt really good for our play testers too, and they've all given us great feedback around that have helped that get to where it is.
Excellent.
Cool.
Does
Sorry, go.
REVN stand for anything?
So REVN is a part of the world in which it takes place. It's the technology that allows the player character to respawn every time they die. So it's sort of baked into the world itself. And whether or not it's an acronym or whether it is just the name of a place is something that will be revealed later as more of the world is put out to the players.
Cool.
Will there be a marketplace on the Playable website?
Yes, there will be. We'll be making on our dashboard that we've already got created. There will be a section where we're going to place all our NFTs, including probably the VI3, and then we'll have like filters to just filter REVN and every game that we add later on.
Yeah,
And-
we've literally
Yeah.
just had a meeting right now with devs, and we're actually hiring 2 more developers to assist with this because it's obviously a big job to build out an open sea marketplace. Well, first of all, one of the things we want to do is we want to include designers from around the world to actually make skins for Playable. So, and obviously for REVN. So REVN have their own designers and they're going to build some skins. And then we're going to open up competitions, etc., for other designers to build skins that REVN or the dev team from REVN will supply the parameters that the skins have to be built within. And then the skins come to the game, and then the creative team at REVN will approve those skins as relevant. So there might be some skins that are knocked back because they don't fit the genre. Obviously, we don't want a guy just walking down the middle of the sci-fi thing in cowboy boots and like a cowboy hat, although it could be funny.
Damn, that was
But,
my dream skin.
That was your dream skin. Little Woody coming down. Buzz, where's Buzz? Call Buzz. So the idea is that REVN will still have total creative control over what skins are allowed in the game, but we actually want to create an Apple app store where we get designers from all over the world that are designing skins, and they make half the money. So whenever one of those skins is actually sold, the designer gets half the money, and then the company gets half the money. So it's we want to encourage beautiful, wildly imagined skins that one designer or 2 designers or 3 designers just can't come up with when you've got hundreds that can do it. So that might be a long answer for a short question. But yeah, that's what I do. That's one of my skill sets. So.
Well, yes, the next question was how will the selling and creation of skins work? But you pretty much just answered that. So thank you for that.
One guy said, if someone asks when Lambo, it'll make their day. So the when
Lambo?
I'm fully got y'all. Vroom vroom in my brand new Lambo. Juiced up, and I don't give a damn, yo. Going 120, and that's my slowest on a one-way line, like Lois. Booster, Superman bitch. Wanna see what happens when I touch the Superman switch?
When Lambo question, yes. This is an ongoing joke in crypto, guys. If you don't know this joke, it's.
I think the more relevant question is why Lambo? Like why Lambo over any other car?
Absolutely, that's a really good question. I'm not a Lambo guy myself. I do love the look of them. Gosh, they look great. But I had an NSX years ago, and every Italian car company in the world had said you cannot build a car without offset pedals. So the pedals have to be off to the middle because the wheel arch is in the way. And of course, driving a sports car with your feet off to the middle gives you a bad back. It hurts when after about a half hour driving. It was a terrible driving position. And but the Italian supercar manufacturers for years had said it's impossible to do it any other way. And then Honda brought out the NSX and had a straight ahead seating position. And then the year after, every car company in the world was making straight ahead seating positions. So it was, it can be done. Sometimes you just got to think outside the box or the car. All right. So here's a question for you, Silas, Mr. Creative Director. Where is this game going? Like, obviously, you've had a magnificent start and it's looking really cool. And we've been playing it and really enjoying it. But where are you heading? What's your goals? There's obviously parts that aren't finished yet. So what's your priorities right now to bring this to the next stage?
So our priorities right now are, for the most part, focused on the new player experience. As you might imagine, when you're building the tutorials for a game or trying to teach someone how different things work, you kind of have to have all those systems built first before you can teach somebody how they work or how to use them and what menus to click through. And so that's kind of one of the final stages of making the game for us, is actually creating proper tutorials, having things that maybe pop up when you first launch the game, showing you where to go in the menus to start looking for a match, or where to go to find the different tutorials that'll help you learn how to play the game. And as we all know, MOBAs are pretty complex games, or they can be. They can have a lot of depth. And one of our goals with REVN is to create a shooter MOBA that is a lot more accessible to the average gamer than traditional MOBAs. When you have a third-person shooter, you have much more familiar controls and moment-to-moment gameplay. And so we want to make sure that the process of starting to play REVN is as seamless as we can make it. And so that's a big part of what we're focused on right now and for the next couple of months. Beyond that, there's some work to be done with audio. We are just now bringing on a fantastic audio developer onto the team. We've worked with him a little bit in the past in a freelance sort of position, but thanks to our partnership with Playable, we're now able to make him a full-time member of the team. So you can expect a lot of new original music to be added to the game, a lot of new sound effects for everything. I'm super excited. I love working with him, and he's super excited to get on the project as well. So those are kind of like the immediate things for the game. And long-term, REVN is going to develop to the point where it can be a viable esport. We'd like REVN to be
Absolutely.
a game where people are not only just playing casually and solo queue, but you're also getting your friends together for weekly tournaments, or even, maybe you're watching professional teams play in national leagues, international leagues, that sort of thing. So that's where we see REVN going long-term, is becoming an esports title.
Yeah, we're definitely having a complete tournament section, and we're actually going to we've got legal permission from our lawyers to have paid games. So we'll have obviously free-to-play games that anyone can play, and there's no penalty for losing. And we're going to have paid games as well, where people can actually put up $1 for a ticket to play. And it might be $1, $5, $10, $100, $1,000, who knows? We'll work out what the players want. And if you're a really good player, you will be able to actually make a living out of playing. So if you can get a team together that wins more often than they lose, you're going to be making actual coin each week. So the other thing we're going to do is actually fund a tournament prize pool of like over $1 million. So it'll be a proper tournament. And there'll be a proper tournament set up that professional teams can enter. And there'll be a round robin, I suppose, we'll have beforehand to select who the professional teams are. And then the last 10 teams or whatever will battle it out for the money. So, I'm very keen to bring this into being a proper esport. And as the game grows in popularity, if we can get Korea involved, that'd be great, because those guys just love tournaments. But, so I'm very excited about what's going to happen there. It's going to be really good. I had a question, and that was, why are games so hard to make? Like, I know a lot of people look at this from the outside and think, just make those guys run around and shoot things. How hard is it?
I mean, yeah, that's what that
Why
does.
does that's what I say.
So,
Yeah. So why is it so hard, and why does it take so long to build a game?
so I think I can actually chime in pretty well on this, despite the fact that I don't do a lot of the hands-on like coding stuff. Because I came out of the team about 2 years ago. And the game that we had then was, a shell of what it is now. And I would say that in my time with REVN, it has progressed more in those 2 years than it had in the years prior that I had seen, right? And the only other things that happened in those last 2 years were bringing more people onto the team, bringing in more developers. So firsthand, what I witnessed was that you put more people collaborating on this project, right? That everyone's been working on. And the more ideas and the more we're all able to flow and work with each other, the more we're able to deliver upon the product that we're trying to create.
So is that a brain trust type thing? Like you got more thinking power, so therefore you're getting better decisions made, or?
I legitimately think so. I think that a big part of game development, you can't get through it all on your own. And it requires so many different unique skill sets that having all those people come together and like creating something together, I think is what pushes it into being such a difficult project, is finding a way to mesh all of those different skill sets.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I was to add something to that, part of what makes making games good is just the infinite level of polish that players expect from modern games. And that's amazing. The amount of stuff that you can make now, with the tools that are now available to us, most of them are for free compared to 10, 20 years ago. You would be paying thousands and thousands of dollars to get access to just the tools, the software to make the quality of game that you can make now using free tools. But just because the tools are free doesn't mean that you have infinite time to learn how to use those tools or to even just create things once you've learned how to use the tools effectively. And like Allister said, bringing on more team members has been the biggest accelerator that we've experienced in the last 2 years. Prior to that, we had it was like one artist, right? It was like one artist, one programmer, one designer, a couple other people helping part-time when they could, and expanding to a proper team where you have multiple artists who can bounce ideas off of each other. If one artist maybe gets stuck on a concept, they can go talk to that other artist and help break through that block. And that's something that you just don't get when you have a super, super small team. But even once we had, the whole team put together, you still have a lot of work ahead of you to achieve a fully polished game. Earlier, we were asked a question about controller support. Controller support is something that it doesn't take a lot of time to set up, right? It's especially in Unreal Engine where we're building REVN. You can make it work very quickly, but very quickly might be a week. And how many other small 1 week things do we have to add to the game to reach a fully finished product? We have to have menus to adjust the sound in the game. Well, that's a couple of days to make sure that's working, and maybe a bug pops up later. So there's just so many small moving parts that players, don't even think about. Like you shouldn't have to think about them, right? Like if they're done correctly, the player doesn't even realize that we did the work. And so that's a big part about what makes games complicated, is there's so many small things happening behind the scenes. And we're really proud of what we built in the last 4.5 years because we've got it almost ready to launch, right? Right as we're recording this AMA, the game is in a fantastic spot, and there's that final level of polish with the new player experience, getting some sound design put in, adding a few more skins, and just getting everything tweaked to a final launchable state. But the core systems are all done and ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, what final things of polish are you hoping to do? Is it just those couple of things, or do you want to, like, I know there's items that you've been looking at, there's a lot of abilities as well, or are they all, you happy with all those?
I think our abilities are some of the areas that we want to add a little bit more polish. So all of the abilities in the game, I think we've got like maybe 45 at this point. And they all function, right? The mechanics are all there. You can do damage, you can heal, you can move around the map, whatever you need to do with your abilities. But some of the polish isn't quite there yet. And by that, we're talking a bunch of different things that make an ability feel good. And that can be sound design, that can be particle effects, that can be just slightly adjusting the timing of like the between pressing the button and having the ability actually happen. Sometimes adding a slight delay that has an animation wind up can make something feel a lot more powerful and impactful. And so there's those little things and variables that we have to go in and adjust to make these abilities feel as powerful as they actually are. I think there's been plenty of times over the years when we've been playtesting something. Maybe Allister can think of an exact example where you've had something that's actually super powerful, but it doesn't feel powerful, and you don't think it's as good as it is just because there aren't visuals and sound design to back it up.
I've got another question as well. So you just mentioned you're building an Unreal Engine. Is that 4 or 5? And if it's 4, do you have plans to go to Unreal Engine 5, or what's the plan for that?
Yeah, I mean, currently we are in Unreal Engine 4, like the most up-to-date current version of it. And for the time being, it is easiest to continue development in Unreal Engine 4, with the hopes that we'd be able to upgrade at some point in the future. Yeah, it's not quite being used in like larger scale projects, because of how new it is and how much time it takes to migrate old projects over and work all of that out again.
Yeah, Unreal Engine 5 is still in early access. So what that means is that there are bugs which could potentially corrupt project files or cause the editor to crash while you're working on it. They're working through all of that, of course, and it is slated to release out of early access into a full release later this year. And so once that happens, we'll be taking a serious look at what the migration process looks like. We've done everything we can to prepare the game for migration to UE5, and I do expect that we will be migrating at some point. We just don't know how soon that's going to be at this point.
Yeah, the next question I was going to ask is, like, are there any main differences between Unreal Engine 4 and 5?
So the updates from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5, I would say, are divided into two categories. You have things that developers will notice, like the UI is better for us. The tools that we have access to that we see when we're working on the game, those are going to get better when we switch to UE5, so we can work faster. There's some improvements to how fast code compiles, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know what I like about it is that it actually does the automatic flicking between screens. Nice bottle, Sam. Holy shit. Is that big enough?
Did you not see that before in the other quiz? Someone was answering a question, his whole face is covered while he's drinking out of the bottle. It's just like,
I'm sorry, I don't drink 4 liters of Pepsi a day. Jesus.
I know, that's true. We're working for Pepsi Max here. How does that work?
okay, so do we go back to the question that I was asking?
So there's kind of two categories for the differences between Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 5. And those would be things that we see as developers and then things that are going to impact the players. On the developer side, Unreal Engine 5 comes with a bunch of new tools, faster compiling time. So it's just going to make the development process a lot smoother and a lot more exciting because there's some pretty cool new tools. I'm honestly even just excited for the UI update. The panels and the dashboards and everything are a lot cleaner and a lot more organized. But on the player side, Unreal 5 brings several key new visual improvements, as well as systems that are going to update how the audio works in the engine as well. I'm not an audio developer, so I don't really know a whole lot about that. But my understanding is that there's a lot of new stuff where you can program different sounds to sort of mix and master and blend themselves together in new ways that you can't do in UE4 right now. So that's pretty cool. And then on the visual side, it's bringing in two big systems, Nanite and Lumen. So if you've been following Unreal Engine 5 at all, you probably already know about these. But Nanite is their new sort of infinite polygon tool or technology. And it's a new way of rendering models that allows you to have static meshes that have nearly infinite detail. So you can have really high detailed sculpts and things in the world for different objects. You can have really highly detailed models, and it doesn't impact performance nearly as badly as it used to. So it allows us to have really detailed models that are just beyond what's capable in Unreal 4 or really any other game engine. And Lumen is their new lighting solution that sort of pairs with Nanite to create much more realistic lighting and shadow simulation. So with those two technologies paired together, we can create some really beautiful environments that are just kind of currently beyond the capabilities of what Unreal 4 can render. So I'm looking forward to experimenting with that as we see Unreal 5 come out of early access. And it's something that we've already started experimenting with so we can learn how the tools work, but we're just not working our production project in UE5 yet.
Yeah. Cool. That sounds awesome.
Good. Yeah. Sorry.
So, how does the relationship, somebody just asked, how does the relationship between REVN and Playable work?
Well, I can probably answer that. So, obviously, our goal with Playable is to make sure that the games we produce, you would pay for, like you'd play for free, like it's something you would spend your time doing. So whether they were free or you had to buy them, the games that come out of the Playable franchise, for want a better word, are going to be games that people want to play. So how do you get there? How do you make games that people want to play? Well, you don't start with crypto. That's really important, because if you start with crypto, you're going to end up with a shitty game that's only about making crypto. And from every game that I've played that starts that way, it's terrible to play and it's not very interesting. In actual fact, it feels like a job. I've had a lot of people refer to them as, I've got to go and do my job now. I've got to log in and play this game to earn my crypto. And that's just disastrous. So when we started talking to Ambitious Games about building, like us buying this game, one of the questions that I know their team asked was, well, how much control do we have? Do we have to do everything you say? And the answer to that is no. They have a lot of control. In actual fact, on a creative side, the team has almost full creativity. And I say almost because the only time we'd ever exercise our larger share is if our experts on our end were saying, if they do that, they're going to crash the game. So if they were saying something like, well, I think I said this in last week's AMA, we want to bring in this thing where everyone turns into a marshmallow and the whole game stops for 5 minutes while we all sing the Russian anthem. Well, right now, singing the Russian anthem might not be a very cool thing, and it might go down a really bad way. So if the team said that's what we want to do, we'd be overriding that and saying, well, no, we won't be doing that. But short of something silly that falls into that sort of category, this is their game. And what we want to do is give the funding to allow this team they're a young team. They've obviously got a lot of skill. We want to basically give them the tools and the power to produce something magnificent. Would that be a fair sort of understanding of how you guys see it?
Yeah, that's my understanding of our relationship. You've given us pretty much the creative control we've always had to keep making the game that we've always wanted to make. But now we have a lot more resources to make it with. And it's actually pretty refreshing to be able to rely on you guys for the business side of things so that we can focus on making great games.
Yeah. Well, that's how we built Playable. I mean, we are a business team first, and we're finding the game professionals. So what I saw, like this whole business model came from a very simple understanding. And I learned this, my boys here came to me and said, I want to invest I want to get into investing in crypto. And so they asked me to start looking out for something, and I found Gala Games, and we researched through Gala Games. and then the boys used their own money and bought a Gala node, and which at the time, what was that, guys? It was $6,900. Was that right?
Yeah, 67 to 7.2. Okay.
Yeah.
Around there.
Yeah. So it was a lot of money for two young boys or young lads, let's call them lads, two young lads to put into a crypto investment, but it's paid off handsomely. They've got their money back several times over, and they've got a node now worth what's it worth? Did you check yesterday, Jed?
I tried to. I couldn't find the last node sold, but yeah, that 96,000
96,000 was the last one I saw. So yeah, so that's a pretty good investment. $6,700 into 96,000, and they've paid back the 6,700 multiple times over. So in selling the Gala coin.
Yeah, with the coins.
So that's how we found Gala. What Gala had identified as a weakness in the gaming industry was that there was no one doing crypto games. And so that's where they went. They went after crypto games. But when I started, I actually ended up in a job last year working for a Melbourne studio, and I raised their money through Gala to build their game. And they're currently building a game with Gala. But basically, I recognized through that gaming studio that these guys aren't marketers and they're not business people. They're game developers. And most game developers are they start off as a group of friends with a great idea, and they've got the skills to start building it. And at no point does anyone really sit down and say, well, okay, we're going to need a marketing guy, we're going to need a business guy, we're going to need a person to do the pays, we're going to need a guy to do this and a girl to do that. And it doesn't happen. It just sort of evolves slowly into a big team, and people are just assigned random jobs that need to be done. And I noticed that as a real model that we could build on, that if we raised the funds and built the business side and said, okay, we'll run everything business-wise, you guys build games, I think that's a winning formula. So I'm pumped for where we're going. It's great.
Also pumped, super stoked.
Let's go.
We can't
Pump
wait.
up the gym.
Yeah.
All right. I think we can pretty much finish off. Is there anything else you guys want to cover? Is there a question you guys haven't been asked that you'd like to
When is the Darth Vader skin? No.
Alistair, anything from you? Have you got anything else you want to raise?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap it up there, guys. That's a good overview of where we're heading, and it's very early days. Obviously, we've literally only done this deal a couple of weeks ago, and we've been full steam ahead, getting from our side, we're doing the playable game side. From your side, you're just business as usual. So I want to thank you for your time, for coming, and hopefully next time we'll have cameras working, and we can get all five of us on camera. But thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.